We in it.
Yeah, we're in it. Do we have a cold open? Do you have anything? Jeremiah, do you have anything? I don't know. We want to riff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here to promote stuff, I guess.
Oh, well.
So, is that where I open? I don't.
No.
Is that the end?
That
I'll
does
save
feel
it at
more
the end, so then
natural
they
for
listen.
the end.
And
Yeah,
like, what's he got to promote? So yeah, I'll save it.
Yeah, just fresh out the gate with no
like if I can just say it and then be done. Like I don't need to be here for the rest of it.
yeah, there you go.
Talking about The Last Airbender is like the most beaten path you can take to advertise for something.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's the hell you've created for yourself, or for all of us, I guess.
We can let's just go into the movie. We can just launch into it.
Yeah, screw it. Let's go. Okay. Welcome back, people, to There Will Be Duds. This is episode 74.
Yeah.
I am your co-host, TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me as always,
I am Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch, and with us today is Jeremiah. Oh my God. Hit me. Say it again.
Did I say it right there?
Ukponrefe.
Ukponrefe.
Oh my God. I shouldn't even have tried.
Ukponrefe. Author, stand-up comedian, reached out to us on this weird Tinder for podcasts website thing that I got into. One of the only non-scammers that have messaged me.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, no, I get really bad like, I want to boost your podcast numbers by appearing on your podcast. You just got to pay me money and we'll get you 100,000 subs and like everywhere you go.
Yeah, I've gotten that too on like for like my YouTube and stuff, or just like on Reddit, people have messaged me like, "Oh, I could get you all these Instagram followers." So yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And Jeremiah was kind enough to bring in a movie for us this week. It is our Dud Week. So from 2010, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. We watched The Last Airbender. It is a live-action adaptation of the beloved children's cartoon that is an epic action-adventure fantasy comedy that follows the avatar Aang in a world where people control the four elements: fire, air, water, and earth. The avatar is like the one person that can control all four elements, and him and his team of friends that he makes along the way battle against the Fire Nation. And there's a lot of trials, tribulations, a lot of great character arcs. And this movie has some characters with the same names.
I'm sorry. Did you say Aang? Did you say Aang? I don't.
Is that the first? Yeah.
I don't think it's Aang. I think it's Ang, TJ.
Yeah, the Avatar Aang, as he's known in this. By the time Uncle Iroh introduced himself as Iroh, I literally did that. I was like losing it. I couldn't believe it.
You haven't seen it before, like the movie?
I haven't seen the movie. No, I literally. So I never watched the show until like last year.
Okay.
I started it. I was one of those like, oh, it's quarantine. It's on Netflix. I'm gonna finally dive into.
I was
show.
Thinking about that today. It was either Avatar or The Sopranos. Those are like the two shows that people got in like super into during quarantine. It was like I'm binging these now.
Yeah, The Sopranos was for me. That's one that I watched during quarantine. So I was like, yeah, that was also good.
That's connected too. But I actually stopped watching. So I was at the last episode. Well, the last episode on Netflix, which is actually the last 4 episodes, all the Sozin comment stuff.
Right.
And I stopped there, and it's like a thing that I do where I get to the end of a series and I'm just like, I don't want to finish it. Right. So I stopped watching it like months ago, and you suggesting this got me to finally finish the show. Okay. So thank you for that. I watched the series finale last night. It was fucking immaculate. I loved it. That show is fantastic. It deserves all the praise that it gets. It is amazing. It's an amazing show. And then I decided to I should have watched the movie first and then ended with the high of the show because it was rough.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you are a fan of the show too.
Yeah, right? I mean, I watched the show like a few years ago. It's actually one of the few shows that I've seen twice because it was like I watched it and then I introduced somebody to it and I was like, we gotta watch this. So
I really want to watch it again, like already. It's
it was
really
super good. But the movie was it was so funny because it's laughably bad. It's just because it's crazy because with an adaptation is it's like you have the blueprint for like and then it's just
you have the name pronunciations.
Yeah, exactly.
It really gives off the vibes the most of like maybe any adaptation I've ever seen, because this was written by Shyamalan too. That like I don't think he watched a single episode of the show. He got like some script or something.
Probably got like the bullet points. I'm like, okay, what happened?
Some assistant came up and was like, I think it's Ang, Mr. Shyamalan. He's like, okay, let it be written. It is now Ang.
Yeah.
So for me, I watched a little bit of the show when I was younger, like when it was airing. I remember liking it, but I never really like watched it to the point where like I followed all the storylines and so I don't have that going in, because I think that was, from what I've read, that was a big issue that people had with this movie. It was one, the departure from the show, the name pronunciation, and like just how there was so much source material and how they just completely ate shit all the way through, and then bafflingly like making all of the leads just like the most white bread actors you could pick.
Which wouldn't be nearly as bad if they didn't like in the case of Katara and Sokka, if they didn't make every other, because the water tribe are kind of, they're like Inuit based, obviously they live like in the snowy like areas and stuff, and but they make all the other people, like all the children, look Inuit, but it's just the main characters are white. So it's like you made it worse for yourself.
The Fire Nation is all brown. That was pretty funny.
I did not know that Dev Patel was in this movie.
He was like the one person I did know was in this.
That was shocking, because the only other thing I saw him in The Green Knight this year, which I thought was pretty good, but he's like a 30-year-old man. So it's just like it's like seeing like Taylor Lautner and like Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah.
You're like, you're little, you're tiny.
You never seen Slumdog?
No, I haven't seen Slumdog.
That's a good movie.
I actually haven't seen that either. That came like, I know that was when I first started getting into movies, and I feel like it's offensive now. Is it? Like I don't know, but I just feel like it's like one of those Oscar bait movies of like poor people. Look,
it's definitely an Oscar bait movie.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like it.
Nothing about it, but
I am a fan of Danny Boyle's like directing style, so that may influence me. I haven't seen it in years. You could be right. It could be a little outdated at this point.
Like what was it? Crash in 2005. That was supposed to be this like, it's a multicultural mixing pot of all these, and then it's just like it leans into every stereotype you can imagine. Like, this one Best Picture,
really rough. Well, there's like this one of them's like this super racist cop who like they like have like they give him like a redemption arc, when it's really like, no, he shouldn't get a redemption arc, but he's like a piece of shit in that movie.
Yeah, I think I first started getting into movies a few years ago.
Yeah.
I had a little phase, like a film buff phase, and I was like, oh, this is a movie you gotta see, and I didn't finish it. I have a vague idea of what you're talking about, and I didn't finish this movie. So, and it
was the right decision for sure. Kind of going back to what you're saying before is like with like the issues people have with it is this. So the show actually, the movie does actually follow the plot of the first season, but it's like it follows like the Wikipedia like plot synopsis, like the little like few sentence blurbs for each episode. So like it follows the story, but it's like in less than 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like it's mostly told through like montages, and then it's like there's like a scene, and then there's a scene where they show up at the Northern Water Tribe, and then like 2 minutes later, Sokka and Princess Yue are like, "Oh, I've loved these weeks that we've spent together." And I was like, what? Weeks? What?
Yeah,
so
I didn't
like
even catch that line, so I just thought they fell in love in the course of like a day or two.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. I didn't know it was weeks, actually. I thought that, but I guess,
Which is weird. I'm surprised that I missed it because there were so many like exposition dumps that happened throughout this movie where one character just tells another character, well, as you know, we're from the Fire Nation, and it's like they just go into this whole history of everything, or like, you know, a lot of like as you knows, which is like, hey, audience, are you listening?
Yeah. Yeah.
My brother and I live in the Southern Water Tribe.
I am Prince Zuko.
This is my father.
Fire Lord has banished his son, the prince, and renounced his love of him, and will not let him return to the throne unless he finds the Avatar.
And I'm the Avatar.
It's very like, are you guys familiar with Darman? It's very Darman writing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, who is?
Yeah, I know the videos.
He's one of those guys. He does like inspirational videos on YouTube. They're scripted, but it's like they bullied this girl until she quit school. You won't believe what happened.
Okay.
Well, this whole podcast might be a Darman video because it's like these guys beat M. Night Shyamalan. You won't believe what happened.
I mean, that's how we
should advertise this episode. You won't believe what happens on this episode of There Will Be Duds. We talk about a movie.
We can like get an AI M. Night Shyamalan voice to like come in and do the ad.
We'll get a deep
us.
fake of him to put him in the corner.
Yeah. I really think if this like I think my like core issue is I just don't think that it's a show to be adapted. Like it really is basically a perfect thing as it is.
Yeah.
The only like slight negative I would give to the show, not compared to this movie, it's still spirit of the movie, but I'm saying just like in general is like the animation, it's Nickelodeon, it's like it could be better in my opinion.
Sure.
But barring that, there's nothing you can really do to improve it. So it's like, one, why adapt it? The answer is money. I know the answer is money. But like I guess what I'm saying is like even if they had like better actors, better pizza, Papa John's. I always go into that. Better like a better direction. If they had like truncated the plot to be like maybe the first half of the first season, so it wasn't quite as like bunched in.
Yeah,
I still think it would maybe be a little bit better than it is now. But as far as an adaptation, I think it would still suck. Like I still wouldn't really enjoy it, even if it was like a better made movie, like the one that they have come into Netflix. That people have a lot of faith in.
Yeah,
I'm not excited for it. I'm like, I don't need it.
Yeah, because even
the
the original creators of the show who were involved with the Netflix one, they left like completely the adaptation. So it's like, I don't know. And you're right, but adaptation in general is like, if there's already a film or movie and it's already good, you're right, there is no reason to do it. But you know, that's just
it's tough. And it's also like watching this because it's obvious by the ending that they're trying to set it up to be like another series of movies, because like you have your little kind of post credits thing with is that Zuko's sister?
Yeah, Azula.
Yeah,
so I don't think it's their name in the movie, but Azula.
Well, you're supposed to know, because if you're a fan of the show, you're like, oh shit, there she is. Oh. But it's like, man, this movie would have benefited from being like a mini series instead of like trying to get it all into like an hour and a half movie. But then it's like you start to go by that logic. You're like, oh well, there already is a mini series, but it's animated and it's better.
Yeah.
So it's like it's completely redundant and you don't need it. The choice of M. Night is also baffling. Like of all the people that you could have chosen, because I'm like what did he do before this? It was like The Happening, like just
that was directly before this. The Happening.
Yeah, it's just all horror movies, and then it's like, we want you to do this beloved Nickelodeon children's franchise show.
Yeah,
like you've never sunk your teeth into like any of this. And I mean, I will say, to the movie's credit, I think some of the like the action scenes are decent. Some of like the martial arts that happens, like the kid who plays Aang is like a martial artist.
Yeah,
I did get the sense that kid was cast because he's like a martial artist.
Yeah, he's
holy hell, that was the only thing he could do.
They were never gonna get martial artist and good actor, so it had to be
it was
just like
they can't cast could have like went back in time and cast like baby Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan or something.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah. That would have been great.
Yeah, it's funny you say that like the action is good because like I would go as far as saying like
I said it was okay.
Okay, so it was okay. I would go as far as saying like the choreography as far as like what the people could do was impressive as far as like, oh, those people are like talented martial arts, but how it was filmed and how it was depicted was such a letdown. Where like,
How is he doing that?
I don't want to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
so I was saying that like the animation itself, I mean just like the look visually of the show, I think could be improved, but compared to the show, the shit that they do is fucking awesome. The combat in the show is fucking awesome. Like in the last episode, there's the part where Toph makes the fucking like Iron Man suit because they like the way that they like they change and like evolve the bending because Katara learns how to blood bend, which is fucking sick. That whole arc is awesome. And then Toph invents metal bending. It's like an extension of earth bending. And it's so creative and interesting what they do in the show. And then in the movie, you have this scene where there's a whole fucking troop. There's like 8 earthbenders do this thing for like 15 seconds to lift one large rock.
They throw it. Hit the one guy,
Those people, that group of people in the show could move the entire village. You know what I mean? Like it's so small scale when you like action wise. It's so lame.
Oh, the idea of blood bending is disturbing.
It would have been better to go up and like punch him in the face than to like do the
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's literally just because that's in like that one long take where it's like the camera's going back and forth, and it's literally just like hang on these people. They do a thing for 10 seconds, and then you see them do it, and it's just the people are standing like waiting to get hit.
Yeah, and the thing is like you're right. It has the the action had the potential to actually look good in live action. I think it wouldn't be the same as animation, but I could see some potential. But it'd be
better at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's like it looks like stuff that they shot specifically so they could use it in a trailer because I'm pretty sure that scene is in the trailer. So it's like no, we gotta get this. Yeah. And then you watch it in the content. Usually, like when you watch a trailer, it's all like the good shit. It's like all that good stuff, and then you get to the movie and you finally see it in context, and you're like, they lift a rock.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
I did think that because like this movie's rated PG. It's like it's an adaptation of like a children's thing. I think the way that they killed Asif Mandi was like disturbing.
Who's Asif?
He's Zhao, Admiral Zhao.
Oh, okay.
See, I know him because he was like a correspondent on the Daily Show.
The Daily Show, I know.
Right.
I was like, what is this guy doing? And like,
he's a comedian.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a thing of sorry, go ahead.
No, they just like they all encase him in this water and just drown him, and you watch him like struggle, and then he just falls. And I was like, oh, they killed him. They actually killed him. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's like it just seemed very dark for like a children's movie. Just
yeah.
Well, it was weird because it's not like a comedian doing a serious role, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, a comedian doing it's so cool." It was like it was bad. It's just like,
yeah. It was like weirdly he was like trying to be seemingly dramatic with it. I couldn't buy it.
Yeah,
the Daily
and they
Show
also
guy.
took out the humor too of the show. Like the lighter tone is a huge part of what made the show, and then taking out the humor was just like, was there humor? I don't even. There might have been an attempt. I don't know.
There was a joke where I was like. Where I understood that it was a joke at the very least. And it's when they first like free Aang from the ice, and then Appa's tail like slaps down on Sokka, and he's like, he's attacking me or whatever.
He's trying to eat me.
He's trying to eat me.
He's trying to eat me.
That's like the one instance of like that show Sokka, but he's still like, if it was show Sokka, he'd be really over dramatic and like he's trying to eat me, but in this he's like he's trying to eat me. Like that kid was so serious and like just not the vibe of Sokka at all. Neither was Aang. Like Aang can be serious in the show, but the reason he's such a like good protagonist is because of how goofy and like wild he is, but also how pure and like just he is in contrast with that. It's very like Goku. Aang reminds me of Goku a lot for the similar things, because I think Goku's a great protagonist because he's innocent, like naive and pure, and like just really optimistic, and it's a great character to follow. But in this, he's just like got fucking like spittle hanging down out of his mouth. Did you guys catch that? He's at
what?
The air yeah, when he goes to the air temple, and he like sees the bones of like his old friends and stuff, because he's, it was like 100 years ago, and he's like they're all dead, or I don't know. It's like the close up of him and then Katara's behind him, and he has like spittle, and he actually goes, he like in the middle of his line, you see him go like to like
oh god,
it's fucking bizarre that they use that take. It is really weird.
Yeah,
that
all
might
the
have been
dialogue.
the best one. Based on that
that's...
movie, that probably was the best take. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All of the dialogue felt so stilted and strange. Like there was like this bizarre moment, and I think it was like it was like a close up on him, and it was like, I think it was Aang talking to Katara and Sokka, and he said something, and then it just cuts over to Katara, and she's just like, "Tell us why, Aang."
I need to tell you something.
What is it, Ong?
I ran away before they trained me to be the Avatar. I don't know how to bend the other elements.
Why did you run away?
It's almost like you could see them like looking off screen and just like reading like cue cards or whatever.
Shit. Okay.
It just it's so weird.
Yeah, there's definitely a part. I think they're in some like a little like patch of woods or whatever. Katara's talking to Aang, and you can see Sokka behind her waiting for his line. He's like looking at Aang, looking at Katara, and probably my favorite line delivery of the whole movie.
So, are you the Avatar, Ong?
Yeah.
It was great.
The kid from Twilight.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. He had like a fairly major role in Twilight as well.
Okay.
He's one of the
Jasper in Twilight.
Okay, I've never actually seen any of the Twilight movies, so
see,
I don't know.
Much like The Last Airbender, the last time I saw the Twilight movies was also with Riff Tracks commentary.
Okay.
Like the MST3K Mystery Science Theater guys, like
Right.
So like that was my first time seeing The Last Airbender was years ago, and it was with like those guys like riffing on it the entire time.
Okay.
So this is last night was the first time I've seen it just straight into my veins.
Yeah.
He looks way different in Twilight. He looks like, speaking of the room, he looks like Greg Sestero in Twilight.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah.
The
Damn.
thing is, I actually would have, even though it didn't get a sequel, I would have loved to see what it would have looked like, to see like the end of the series. I actually think it'd be so interesting to see what they would have done. It would have been the same thing, but just like,
It would be it would be really interesting to see how you could continue this trajectory of skipping so much.
Yeah.
Like it was a very Batman versus Superman is the movie that came to mind when watching this, where it's like so much happened, but it felt like nothing happened by the end of the movie. Like I paused when there was like 20 minutes left, and I was like, there's no way we're like this far into the movie. Like I get that they're at the Northern Water Tribe, and they're at the big, the full moon thing. They're doing this thing, but it feels like nothing has happened so far.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And it's because, like, again, so much of it is just conveyed through montage.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's literally like, feels like it's like 40% of the movie is montage and like exposition dumps, and it's like you can't do a movie like that. That's not how they work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it felt so the world felt kind of lifeless in terms of like design wise. It was like it just felt so dull to me. It didn't feel like there was a lot going on. It was man.
I thought because it looked like, at least for some of it, they filmed on like a real location, which I appreciated. This was like right before everything was just like green screened to death.
Right.
So like I appreciated it for that. I'm the type of person that always tries to like give a movie the benefit of the doubt, or try to forgive it for something. And so it's like some of the choreography was good. They shot it in real locations. Like that's cool, I guess. But that's really about it. That's all I can give it.
For positives, I would say, ooh, who was good? I mean, the girl who played the princess was pretty decent. Like the Northern Water Tower or Northern Water Tribe princess. She was decent.
UA, yeah.
I mean, she was in it for like 4 minutes, so that might she wasn't really bad to me.
You were supposed to like have this emotional connection to her sacrificing herself, and it's like, I've known you for 4 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I guess I would say A for effort on doing a long take at the very least.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And then like, I think if you're looking for like the best acting, it's got to be out of the Fire Nation. Like, you know, Cliff Curtis as Ozai, he was all right. You know, there was parts where like he was delivering lines, and I was like, oh yeah, like he's kind of has the similar air. Like it kind of feels like Ozai. And then even though they kind of went for like a different like vibe, I thought Iroh was all right.
Yeah.
You know, those were the two that I would say that were like the least painful to watch at the very least.
Yeah.
Dev Patel was trying, and I know he's a good actor. I've seen him. He's been really good in some stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure.
But it's those actors. It's them dealing with the source material. It's them dealing with like the script.
Yeah.
Like they're doing the best that they can. I did laugh at the little bit of like Uncle Magic that Uncle Iroh was trying to pull. It was like, hey, there's a pretty girl over there.
Oh
you
yeah.
You just give up on all this shit and go smash. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, wingman Uncle Iroh just being like, come on, let's just
yeah, well, that's what I mean. That's Uncle Iroh.
Does he do that in the show too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think like people online have talked like so reverently about Uncle Iroh. He's like this very beloved character.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So seeing him be like a wingman doesn't it like contradicted this idea in my head of him being like this sagely old like advice giver, like wise beyond his years, and then he's like, come on, let's go get some pussy.
It's
Come on,
like,
let's go.
He's a good character because he's actually both. Like he is like that. He is like wise, but then he's also a fun character too. So it's like it kind of there's a lot. So it's
that's like what's so strong about the show is the characters and being like very influenced by traditional like Asiatic sort of characters like that, like the wise old sage, but mixed with this kind of like humanity
sensibilities almost.
Yeah, and they do that really well with a lot of the characters in the show, and I think that's why like Iroh is just like he's that dude. He's just he's really good. He's a really good character in the show.
Yeah.
Asterisk. All right. Well, I don't know. We're about 30 minutes in. How are we feeling?
I'm good. Yeah, I think I vented.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else, TJ? Go for it.
Just the when they're like prepping for the fight at the end, it's just a little nuts. It's nothing to like really talk about. But the fucking dude who he goes,
that was very
not
weird.
Expecting that. That was so weird.
It's like it's this Battle of Helm's Deep moment where you're like you're just going past all these soldiers ready to like give their life, and they're
what the fuck. And then I wanted to read the sort of response or whatever from the show creators.
Oh boy.
So this is from Brian Konietzko. He said, A, we didn't want it to be done at all. Before anyone was attached, we didn't want it. And then B, if it was going to be done, we wanted to do it, but they weren't going to let us. C, when they attached Night, we just thought, well, this is what we've been dealt. We'll just offer help if it's asked of us, and if not, we'll stay out of the way.
Oh,
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh man, you really feel for him. They're like, all right,
yeah, they make like this beloved by like critics and fans, like one of the best animated shows ever, and then
it's like the Vince McMahon from WWE meme where it's like, we don't want this to happen, but if we do, we'll help out.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan is in
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Okay. I'll go first, I guess. Set the tone or whatever.
Yeah, set the bar.
There was it is a really weird case because I think an opinion could sway differently. Like, I think most people would see this and be like, yeah, that wasn't really good. But I think it does change, if you've seen the show or whatever. And I'm trying to like think of it just as a movie more so and not as an adaptation. And as that, it's kind of in the middle for me. I'm leaning dud, so less or more negative than positive. But there definitely was some shit that I laughed pretty hard at. Like some of those line deliveries. What's the one where I think it's during that really lame, the long take, and Aang says, "It is time for you to stop doing this." Something like that.
Yep.
So like there was definitely some moments that were really like getting to me. And it was like I guess I would say like easy watch in a sense that like it went by really fast. But yeah, I think I'm still going dud for me. Personally. Yeah.
And then and then for me, I'm pretty much leaning towards dud as well. Like there were entertaining moments like that, but for the most part there were moments where I was like just like kind of checked out during like some of like the action sequences. I just lost interest. The dialogue was very strange and stilted. I feel like I was gonna say something else, and my hard drive has been wiped by this movie. Yeah, very very bizarre movie. I don't really have like the TV show behind me to like kind of guide like my main critiques. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I was going into this. I was wondering if there's going to be like, how there's people online now that are like contrarians about the Star Wars prequels. They're like, actually the first three are actually very good if you look at them in this light. And I was wondering is this going to be one of those movies that like is reevaluated like a decade later and people are going to be like, I mean, maybe we were a little harsh on this movie. And I don't think that's the case. It's like I'm sure there are some contrarians out there that are like, well, actually, if you read the subtext of what M. Night was actually trying to say, it's really good and it tells this kind of stuff. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works. So it was more boring than entertaining. So it's definitely a dud. But watch it with riff tracks. I remember that shit being really funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, it's like I think it is the opinion of it is gonna change. Because all the characters, if you think about it, I think they're just autistic. So it's like autism representation. Like you mentioned that.
Aang for sure.
It's time for you to stop. I'm like, oh,
okay.
It's representation. Yeah.
I'm okay to champion this message. Yeah.
Yeah, but also for me, like it's just a dud for me too, because it was just boring. It was too boring to be to be like super funny. I only laughed a few times. So
there's good moments peppered in there for sure. And yeah, I think it would be nice. I wonder if there will be kind of like a resurgence or like a reevaluation of this once the Netflix show comes about.
Yeah,
depending on how that one goes, because I don't know, people are really excited for it, but also they're like all the promotional stuff I've seen for it is literally just like, look, we didn't whitewash this one. And it's like, okay, but like, is the story good? Like, that's kind of more important, I think.
Yeah.
Because like, that's what they focus on with the Cowboy Bebop live action thing. And that wasn't good. But yeah, they had a Japanese Spike. So.
All right, good for you.
Yeah, one hand washes the other. You kind of have to, have both of those. I'm not sure how that expression is used, but
Yeah. Speaking of one hand washing the other, here's an ad break.
all right, cool.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, welcome back to There Will Just Be TJ. So you'll notice that Nick compared The Last Airbender to the Star Wars prequels. As if that is a fair comparison. One would argue, this one in particular would argue that that's horseshit. Because if you look at even critic reviews comparing the movies, the prequels, and The Last Airbender, there have always been a fair amount of champions of the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, where I don't think there was really any for The Last Airbender. There's a lot more people like that than the few people he made it sound like. So I think that this might have to be something we delve into further. I think this is Nick's ever continuing, ever growing Star Wars exclusionism. I still don't know if he's seen the original trilogy. That was a big thing back when we were in high school, that he'd never seen them. I still don't know if he has. So I don't know if he has a leg to stand on here, and we'll get back to that at another time. So are we back now?
Yeah, I'm thinking we're back.
Cool. So yeah, I have been watching it. I finished Moral Oral. I'm slowly chipping away at. I've been recently like kind of my Avatar dive too. It was started because I just decided to start watching more. And it's not, Avatar isn't anime, I know, but it's anime influence. But I've like been watching more anime and like slash like old Adult Swim shows basically. And yeah, so the most recent one up on my list was Moral Oral, and really really cool show. Like it is a really interesting like dichotomy where you get through the first 2 seasons, and have you ever seen it, Jeremiah? Do you
No,
know
I
it?
haven't seen it.
Okay, so it's a claymation show. It's an Adult Swim thing, like kind of their typical comedy. So it's like 10-minute episodes.
Okay.
And it's a riff on the old
Davy and Goliath.
Yeah, Davy and Goliath. Do you know those?
So it's like old. No. It's like old children's like. It's like a spoof of like a religious thing, like a.
Oh, David and Goliath. Okay, yeah.
Okay. But there was a claymation show called Davy and Goliath back in like the 60s or 70s or something like that. So it's like very much a spoof on that. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. I used to watch Davy and Goliath because I grew up in a very like religious household. And so this is like, yeah, the kid Oral is like, he looks exactly like Davy does in the show and stuff, and very similar animation style, but it is like I don't think I've ever seen like something that hates God as much as this show hates him. Like every episode is like, it's like, oh, we're teaching, it's like more Oral, I keep wanting to call him Moral. Oral is this like hyper religious, super innocent, naive kid who's just always trying to do the right thing, but every time like an adult teaches it, like tells him like, oh, you need to do this because the Bible tells us this, it's always interpreted in like the worst possible way.
Okay.
Like to where I can't remember how he gets to this, but like the first episode is like he interprets like this Bible verse to mean that like it's a sin to be dead. So he like finds a Necronomicon and like resurrects like his grandpa from the grave.
Okay.
But like, and like they start like biting other people, and like all the people that were resurrected in the graveyard are like naked, like all their clothes like rotted away. Yeah. And then like they start, like all the people in town are like terrified of them because it's a sin to be naked or whatever, not because they're like eating each other. So yeah, so it's, you know, very like hypercritical of religion, and it's great. It's awesome. And like the first 2 seasons are like that, and then the end of season 2, it turns on a dime and it becomes this like weird the final season is all each episode is like about a different person in the town. There's a couple that are still about Oral.
Okay.
But it's about a different person in the town who were like background characters in other episodes.
Okay, got it.
And like it's just really impressive how it can take this silly, like insane comedy show and turn it into this like stuff that like really makes you feel for these characters. Like there's some episodes that are just like really dark.
Okay.
But like not in a like comedic way. Like you watch them and you're like that was like, damn, that was like, you really like, it's weird like thinking like of how crazy that show is, and then like you get to the last season, I'm like almost tearing up at the end of some of these episodes.
Reclamation.
Yeah. And it all turns like, because what happens at the end of the second season is Oral goes on like a hunting trip with his dad, and his dad's like a severe alcoholic. And Oral is like a pacifist, and his dad is like forcing him to like kill an animal as like a rite of passage into like being a man. But his dad gets like, he keeps drinking because Oral's like refusing to, like, because he doesn't want to. And like it ends with the dad shooting Oral like in the leg, and like him and like I feel like in any previous episode it would be treated as like comedic, but in this it's like the dad then like passes out and Oral's just there like defeated, like with like a wavering voice, like calling for his dad to like help him. And his dad just like falling asleep because he like doesn't care. And like then the rest of the show, it's like previous to this, Oral's like looked up to his dad as like the ultimate like human, right, as you do as a kid. And it's like after this he starts to realize that like his dad is flawed and like a bad person. There's an episode where he asks his mom like why she married his dad, and then like that episode is about them meeting and stuff, and it's not like a good or romantic relationship in any way. It's very abusive and bad. But yeah, and it's, you know, it's a quick watch because it's 30-ish, maybe no, I think it's a little more than 30 episodes. Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's more. It's like 40 episodes.
Okay.
Or something like that. But they're 10 minutes each. It's a pretty easy watch, and yeah, it's a really good show.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Made
And
by
I watched it on HBO.
made by the guy.
Okay.
Did you watch Community?
Yes. Yeah.
Starburns.
Oh,
Dino
okay.
Dino Stamatopoulos.
Yeah.
He's like the creator of that show.
Mhm.
Like him and
Okay,
Dan
cool.
Harmon have worked together forever.
Okay.
He voices a few of the
Does he?
characters.
Nice.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I guess the only thing I saw, I kind of took a Martin Scorsese, if you will. I saw Goodfellas
Guess so.
and The Departed within the same week, and I think The Departed or Goodfellas. I almost rank Goodfellas a little bit above The Departed, if only for like the needle drops. The music in that movie is, and that's kind of what Martin Scorsese is known for, is like these little flourishes of using like a lot of like late 60s, early 70s music, like a lot of Rolling Stones that just like it just fits in the scene so well. But I think my favorite scene using like music was like there's a scene where like you see everybody who like it's like a montage of people who got whacked. And he uses the latter half of the song Layla, like the Eric Clapton, Derek and the Dominoes song, and you just see like it's a slow-mo of like a garbage truck lifting, and you see bodies falling out, and like a guy frozen in a meat truck. But it's like it has this like tender, like light rock from the 70s music playing behind it. It's just and I know you mentioned that you watch The Sopranos. There are 27 actors in Goodfellas who would later go on to appear in The Sopranos.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
like,
wow.
Like the main like love interest is Dr. Melfi.
Oh, okay.
Christopher is in it as like he's so young. It's crazy how young he is. What's his name? The main protagonist near the end of The Sopranos. The guy that they say looks like the Shah of Iran. He gets. I won't spoil it for TJ.
Oh, okay.
But it was just crazy. It was just crazy that like the guy who made The Sopranos basically saw like Goodfellas and was like, "Yeah, I want to make that." I want that to be because
Go,
there's like a scene where they have to like get rid of a body, and they stop at Joe Pesci's mom's house, and she's like, "Oh, you're home. Hey, let me make you coffee. Let me make you dinner." And they're like, "Ma, I gotta go do this." And they're like, "Nah, nah." And I think David Chase was inspired by that like sort of unglamorous view of mobsters, where it's like you see The Godfather, and it's almost like this prestige.
Yeah.
The day of my daughter's wedding, like that kind of shit. But then it's like with like Goodfellas and like The Sopranos, he liked that like that awkwardness and unglamorousness of just like we got to kill this guy, and that's just all there is to it. There's no dramatic music or nothing. They just
true. Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It was so good. It was such a good viewing experience seeing Goodfellas, and Robert De Niro is great. I almost like choked up a little bit because like Ray Liotta's gone.
Oh yeah.
Tony Sirico, who plays Paulie in The Sopranos, is in it.
Yeah.
And it's like he got out of the car and he was doing his Sopranos shit. Like it's like built into his personality. I almost had like a little tear because he's so young, and like I love him. I love Paulie as a character, and just seeing him in anything, it's like it's so nice.
Yeah. I saw House of the Dragon. Did you finish or did you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was watching House of the Dragon. So if you're a Game of Thrones person, you know that it didn't end the best way, and it was cool seeing House of the Dragon was great. I thought so. So it was cool seeing it redeemed. That's
good to hear.
Yeah, at first I didn't want to watch it, but I saw a bunch of ads. I was like, fine. And then I watched the first episode, and I was drawn back into the world. But it's still like not worth not having the Winds of Winter. So that's all I have.
Yeah.
How long has he been writing that book?
That book is now 13 or 12 years, I think. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Dance of Dragons came out, which was the last one, came out like during the first season of the show.
Yeah, I think it actually I think it was like 2011 the first season came out, so I guess it's been,
I think so, something like that. Yeah.
10 11 years or something like that. Yeah.
Too long, either way.
yeah, either way it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I know, and I wonder just if because apparently the show ended, like they said that they, he like what is it, like, they talked with him about how it ended and stuff. Yeah. And like I wonder if because of how that was received, he's like, oh, I'm gonna spend another like 20 years like writing it or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. What a rare instance that would be as a writer to like kind of pitch your ending to a TV show, and then it eats shit, and then you're like, okay, like how many people get to test out like the ending of their book before their book is released, and then they can be like, I'm gonna redeem this by not doing what the TV show did.
Yeah, for real. That's good though. I do keep hearing pretty positive things about House of the Dragon. I haven't started it, but I think I will check it out. It might be a case of like the second season is about to come out, and I'll be like, okay, I'll get around to it. I'll start. I'll finally start it. But I like a couple of the like I really like Paddy Considine, who plays the Rhaegar.
He plays the King Viserys.
Viserys, I'm sorry. Yeah, Viserys.
He's very good in the show. So if you like him, you'll like him in this role. He's really good at it.
Yeah, sweet. And I've heard this is more mostly or like just Targaryens, right? It's not like multi-family, like
no, it's
like
smaller. There's still like other families involved, but it's about and it's a smaller scale, which is different. It's not like, oh, you have Westeros and you have Dorne and stuff. It's very much like one place, which is really focuses more on So
that'll be that. It seems like an interesting sort of like change of pace within the same like universe and stuff. Yeah, cool, sweet.
Well, speaking of writing,
and
thanks again for coming on. I had a lot of fun. I think this was a good conversation. But
not a good movie,
not a good movie. You got to make that clear. But before we wrap up, you're an author, comedian.
Yeah, I'll just do the quick plug.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm a comedian based out in Toronto, and I've also written a novel, sci-fi novel Hive. You can find it at www.jeremiahu.com or just on Amazon if you just look up Hive. We're working on the movie adaptation right now. We got M. Shyamalan.
You had me for a second.
We got him. Got him writing, got him directing, got him editing. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Yeah, but that's all I'll say.
Sweet.
Nice.
Thank
Do you have
you for
any? Do you have any like stand-up dates to plug or anything like that? Or?
This is like, if you live in Uxbridge, Ontario, I'm gonna be out in Uxbridge next Friday. But if you guys have a listener in Uxbridge, I don't know.
That would be
that would be pretty.
that would be insane. Yes.
If you have someone in Uxbridge, you need a better podcast. That's what I'm saying.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, we'll throw links to all that stuff in the episode description. Go check out Hive by Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And then
and then I'll pull next week's movie, and then we can say our goodbyes.
Sweet. Yeah, go for it.
Say our sign-offs. And next week's movie is from 1997, directed by Luc Besson, The Fifth Element.
Oh shit!
Oh.
That's been on my list of movies that I need to see and haven't. Now I have a reason to. Nice.
That might be one of your movies, actually. I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I forgot. So The Fifth Element, I think, is on HBO.
9 times out of 10, it's on HBO.
It's on. Well, it looks like it's on a lot of premium stuff, but it's for rent on YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV.
Okay.
All that normal stuff. So go watch that before next week's episode if you don't want to be spoiled for The Fifth Element. These episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on in video form on Twitch and YouTube, as well as on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more in podcast form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and that about does it. I am the Avatar, Tajai, aka J Spot Jar. Yeah,
you're slipping into Forrest Gump.
Cheese, and with as always,
I am your wise beyond his years Uncle Wingman, Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch, and with us today.
You can try my name. You can try it.
Okay. With us today is Jeremiah Ukponrefe.
I got it better the first time. It's Ukponrefe.
Ukponrefe. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know why
many apologies. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me. Have a good day, guys.
All right.
Yeah. See you.
Goodbye.
Peace.